Hello, citizens. Are you tired of being human? There's too much of life. I feel like it's in vain or corrupt. Do you ever let yourself feel the grass beneath your feet? Yesterday my neighbor John called me and asked me if I could come over as soon as possible. And I was like, for one, why are you calling me? You could literally just walk over here. We're right across the street from each other. But also, why are you doing a death wail into the speaker of my phone? Because he was crying. And honestly, me saying he asked me if I could come over is generous, because it barely even ever became a question. It was more like trying to decode hieroglyphics, but like how you would decode Braille. Anyway, it turns out the reason he couldn't walk over to my house was because he was on the floor. So, and Lord knows if he did try to walk over to my house, he probably would have opted to get run over first. Well, maybe I shouldn't say that. I'm just trying to communicate how bad he was. It took him a long time, even before I got over there. I mean, even while I was over there, to start speaking English again. I was surprised he ever even got his initial sentence out. Anyway, I'm getting distracted, but here's what he got to telling me, essentially. I've always known John's daughter, oh my goodness. I've always known John's daughter as a volunteer, I guess you could call it. I mean, like a freelance volunteer, though, because, I mean, like, she would help any community do anything, get by. She was like a portable societal gear in the fabric of the system, you know, and she could, yeah, behind the scenes of a community, or on the scene, or in the scene, or whatever, for like any social thing, group. She's just one of those people, you know. And basically, she had started to work in this Amish, okay, guys, the cicadas, cut it out. She started working with this Amish village, like on the farm, which is ironic for this video, I guess. Anyway, it quickly became a suspicion of John that this Amish group was a cult, or cult adjacent. Now, he began to think that, because she started to classically, you know, become more distant and evasive. And even though it was regular for her to be dedicated with her help, kind of like a vocation, it seemed that she was oddly, I'll just say she was really connected to this community in particular. And of course, John is protective. I mean, not in an invasive way. I mean, at least I don't think. I'm not his daughter, I guess. You know, he was naturally concerned. And while this was happening, he was telling me about it. That's why I have a lot of details. I knew a lot of details already before yesterday. I didn't know that this was the loudest place on earth. You would, and there's church, but where did I leave off? See, like, if I go over here, then the cicadas get me. If I go over there, then there's 50 dogs. There's 50 dogs. No, the dogs are everywhere. They're everywhere. They're over there too. Okay. So he decided to have a talk with her, just saying, you know, like, I could be wrong about this, yada, yada, yada. But I think you should try to take a step back from this group. And they reportedly had a long conversation about it. You know, I never thought she was that smart, or him for the record, but that's irrelevant. She actually did something that I'd say most falling into an apparent cult wouldn't do, and she genuinely listened to him. So maybe they weren't actually that bad of a cult if they were losing her that fast. But I don't know. Then again, but we'll get to that. So after that, she had decided to leave the group, and so she was going to announce it that she was leaving, and she had to retrieve some of her belongings there. Yeah, that was the last part that I had heard from John before yesterday. But what John did tell me about what happened after that, what he was able to get out, that is, while she was on her way out of the village for the final time, they started rounding up like 5 buggies, or no, that sounds crazy. It was only like 4. So yeah, four buggies or something like that to hunt after her. And so what I believe happened is, horses are hard to control. They accidentally went over her and knocked her down, ran over her. Yeah. And you might be thinking, isn't that what they wanted? Well, I don't know. Honestly, I really don't know. But I assume afterwards they thought she was dead or paralyzed or something, and they didn't want to deal with it. So it was far enough from their village and anyone else, so they just left her there. But she wasn't dead, actually. And in my opinion, she was all around pretty lucky, because she only had broke her legs, and that was most of it. She might have lost one of her hands. I couldn't really tell. But yeah, how she got saved. Apparently some phones can automatically send alerts to emergency contacts or something like that, based on, stuff, data, how odd the location, how odd the time of day, just the ruckus. I really don't know, to be honest, but it can send a SOS. There's a train, but now there's also a train to add on to everything. I don't know, it can be this is very strange, let's ask for help. And yeah, but long story short, I guess that was the whole story. Dang, how long have I been talking? That's not even the point of the video. She was escorted to the ER. That's it. She's alive. Okay. Anyway, towards the end of John and I's conversation yesterday, he was talking about how he already had bad anxiety, and how he could only imagine how much worse things would get after this traumatic event. I was like, you could try therapy. Because, I care about him as much as I sensibly can as a neighbor, but I don't want to hear about your grievances all the time. At least someone could be paid for doing this, right? But he was like, well, I've tried therapy till the cows come home, and that crap doesn't work. And I was thinking, look, you can be stupid all you want, that's great, but you're gonna have to get those cows a new patch of grass, because I'm not feeding them with all my time and my energy. I do think it's worthy to know that therapy's not for everyone. I don't want to generalize, but I do. Maybe you think it works for you. Maybe you think you like this patch of grass. Maybe you can get acclimated to the barn, but you're a heifer. See what I'm saying? You've never been in the shoes of a full cow. That being said, that was, funnily enough, my eureka moment of how I thought of this method to transform your mind away from anxiety and stress and other inhibitions. Maybe we should all collectively take a turn in the shoes of a cow. And on that point, I want to return to something I asked earlier. Does life feel like it's in vain? You might be thinking, well, yes. But how would being a cow make it any better? How do cows feel fulfilled? in their day-to-day? The answer is they don't. They don't feel one way or the other. But what they do possess is the incapacity for neurosis. Cows have a certain calm about them, and you know what I'm saying. That look of serenity twinkling in their eyes, their warm brown skin, or white, the skin color doesn't matter. They're lit up by the sun emitting its perfect golden rays on an infinitely platitudinal layer of grass. I mean, do I even need to say more? And they have these things that we call the treasures of life, but instead they do them while unburdened. They have the purpose within family, but instead they don't need to worry. They don't have to worry about appeasing in-laws. They don't have to worry about becoming a failure or raising a failure, because literally all cows are the same. How could they fail? They don't have to suck up to their stupid relatives that they don't even like because blood is thick or milk is thick or whatever they would say. It doesn't matter. None of it matters. You get to live off of doing what you were born to do rather than doing work for ultimately the same high-up systems that keep you low and miserable as a human. And as I was having all of these epiphanies, I was telling John, and you know what he said? He acted like I was crazy. He said, "Are you okay? I don't feel like this is normal." Well, John, that's a great feeling you have, just like literally everyone else in the world who feels things every day about everything. Congratulations. Like, what do you want me to do about that? I don't feel like this is right. What about it? I mean, just like any other feeling, what? You're hungry, so you're gonna go eat, because that's the problem. That's how you solve it, right? But when you just say, "Oh, I don't know, this doesn't feel right to me," what do you want me to do? You're not even telling me why. But he had no reason. He had no reason. That's what I mean. He's just stupid. That's what I mean when I say he's stupid. But yeah. Anyway, ever since I've had these revelations, my outlook is totally different. No more stress. No more anger. No more cynicism. I feel so much more serene now than I ever have. Those are my basic thoughts about it. I think they should be helpful for anybody and everyone if you put your mind to it. So let me know if it helped. I mean, I thought about maybe making a course on how I think you can get with a cow mindset. I mean, I'll have to develop some ideas more before I do that first. But honestly, I don't know if I need to do that. I feel like it's just something you have to realize. And it's this eureka moment, and it dominoes into a million little other eureka moments, and it completely renews your life. But yeah, you guys, remember to transform your mind. Keep it open and hoping, and maybe one day you'll finally move on. Did you get it? Okay. Thanks, guys. Have a blessed